Real quick, I want to do a fair use. Yeah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, a shalom. To the Israelite foreigners, whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To your sisters, your achwathim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This is your brother Aram Yahawada with the lesson. And as you can see, what is a New York Times, it says, no, you don't actually have a right to a banking account, right? So your so-called constitutional rights and your rights as a so-called U.S. citizen, it's been going out the window. I mean, they've been pretty much signed over all your rights through the Patriot Act and, you know, these other different things, and basically even signed it over to the WHO, right? So we're just waiting for the next great so-called pandemic, and they're gonna show you that they're in control and you don't have any rights. And this is just another way of being able to bring in the MOTB and to force you to have to lean on this man, right? The self-proclaimed so-called white man, starting with the elites, right? Because, you know, the average everyday Edomite, even he's about to be a slave. He's going to find out all that racism that they have for Jake, the average everyday Edomite. It's going to be all for naught, because guess what? You're in trouble too, right? And you don't know it yet, right? Right? And ultimately, you're in trouble by the Most High. All of you, starting with your elites, right? You're a bunch of dead men walking. You don't know it. But let's get to this. You know, it says this is a degree of political argument. There is a degree of political argument over so-called debanking. See, now they could just debank you, right? Which Kanye, which was about to be a so-called billionaire with all that money, you would think, hey, he's got a lot of money, he's got fame, you can't just debank him. Well, they basically did, and then defrauded him, and then backed out of their contract after they owe this man, right? But no easy answers to the hot topic. Yeah, it's a very hot topic in Washington. So your so-called politicians, your Congress, your state congressmen, somehow they're arguing about this when you're supposed to be a U.S. citizen, right? Right? There shouldn't be an argument, right? Since it's the greatest place on the planet, right? Right? Yeah, so it says, keep going. It says, when Brian P. Brooks was a financial regulator during the first Trump administration, he would hear complaints about debanking, see? And he forced himself not to roll his eyes. Yeah, right. You know, it says, the expression was being used by representatives of some rather polarizing companies. And the thing that's polarizing, right? Because it's going to tell you right here, such as private prisons and fracking operators, right? So what's the height of everything right now? Private prisons, because they're doing this thing they have this contract with ICE, so they're supposed to be so-called rounding up everybody, right? Which soon you people who didn't believe that regular, average day, everyday American citizens are going to get snatched up and put into concentration camps, you're going to find out, right? And that's ultimately what this is. And they're showing you that. They're giving it to you right there. Private prisons. Fracking, what is that? That's dealing with the stock market, right? And different investors and things, right? Palantir, all these different investments, right? Because they were saying Palantir at one point was $10 a share. Now all of a sudden, it's spiked up 600%, And you're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars per share now, right? Overnight, right? Who complained to Mr. Brooks, the acting controller of the currency, that their bank accounts were being closed. And you're talking about these people are interconnected with the government anyway. So, right, without warning. So they're basically they're what do they call it? Subliminally telling you citizens that this is going to really truly happen to you, because they're going to have the contracts, right? They're gonna take the taxpayers' dollars and round you up with your own money, right? Because that's what they're doing. They're all out surveillance, right? And part of it is what? Being able to get a hold of the currency. That their bank accounts were being closed without warning. His reaction boiled down to the free market equivalent of tough luck, right? Right, saying that's what's going to happen, man. Right, it's going to be tough luck for all of you citizens. He didn't see it as his job to compel banks to do business with anyone in particular, right? So they can do what they want to do, which is really to jam you up, right? Because on one hand, the dollar's collapsing, so there's really no value in the dollar. But if you happen to have some type of whatever, you won't be able to use it. They'll just freeze your account. Now what do? Now you don't have no way to buy or do anything, right? Which is going to come into the micro CHIP, right?
Banks can shut down your account, often without warning or explanation. But what is debanking, and how often does it actually happen? President Trump is reportedly drafting an executive order to punish banks for debanking people based on their political or religious ideologies. Debanking is when a bank refuses to do business with you, so they shut down your account. Banks say it's about risk, legal, financial, or reputational. However, critics argue that sometimes it's a matter of politics. But how often does debanking actually happen? In recent years, Americans have filed hundreds to thousands of complaints about random account closures, with major banks like JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citi, and Wells Fargo being named in more than half of the filings. And while exact reasons or numbers on total debankings aren't publicly tracked, this leads many to believe that this is a growing trend in banking. In a statement, Yahoo Finance reporter David Hollerith told Straight Arrow News, quote, "Banks are private businesses. They are prohibited from discrimination in lending on the basis of race or gender, but are generally allowed to deny customers deemed too risky. But what the banks have been pretty clear on is saying they never deny customer services for political reasons." So is debanking a threat to everyday Americans? Does Trump's executive order have legs? Let us know in the comments. And if you like what we do here, give us a follow and visit us at san.com for more.
Yeah, so this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. So therefore shalt thus serve thy enemies, right? And this is not only this is going to apply to you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, but even you self-proclaimed so-called white people, man, right? Because as it is said in the scriptures that the curses of the Israelites are going to fall upon our enemy with this them being able to lock up your bank whenever they want to, this bringing in of the MOTB, it basically puts you in a position where it's like the beginning stages of the curses coming upon you, right? And then it's coming upon you from your own people, right? Other self-proclaimed so-called white people, which they know who they are, right? The Rothschilds know that goes back to them being the red child or the red shield, meaning they know that they're Esau, they're Edom, right? Idom, right? But they don't care to enslave you, right? Which Yahweh, right? And ultimately, hey, it's all Yahweh, right? This is really Yahweh's micro CHIP, at the end of the day. Shall sin against thee in hunger and in thirst, right? See? So now the curses are even falling upon you so-called white people, because you're gonna have to go to the system in hunger and thirst, and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee, in which this time it's not going to be actual iron. It's gonna be the micro C hip, man, which is gonna be basically like iron. It's like an imprisonment, right? A social credit score, you know, a you know, a digital prison, right? It's gonna be a digital prison, right? Yeah, so this is Isaiah chapter 2, verse 12. For the day of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakach Wadash, of hosts, right? Hosts meaning armies, shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, right? And there's no place more proud and lofty than America, Babylon the Great. And that's for all you people, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, first and foremost, right? Because you're the Israelites, you should be repenting. But of course, you're not doing that. You're proud and you're lofty. And of course, you got the self-proclaimed so-called white man who's always had it good, who always had white privilege, but then now he don't want to claim white privilege. Hey, but it is what it is, man. You are going to get your judgment, man. Just by saying you don't have white privilege is a state of your pride, bro. Right? Upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. Right? This place, America, Babylon the Great, is being brought low as you live and breathe. Right? Yes, it's Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. And I beheld, which means to look, feast your eyes, look, pay attention. Right? Another beast came up. Right? Which the Greco-Roman Empire, which you're in the Greco-Roman Empire 2.0, right? The deadly wound that was healed, or you would say the second leg of Rome. Sometimes I say the second leg, but it's the one with the deadly wound that was healed at the end of the day, right? Right? And that's that beast system. Came up out of the earth, right? From amongst people, right? And namely what the Europe, right? Where you got the European Union, right? Which the Treaty of Rome, which they came up with, which let you know that they are those people, right? Because I believe it speaks about that 40 in 2 years when you go up above this, right? Going into the European Union. Let you know that they're going to rule but a short space, right? Or little space, it says in the scriptures. But and he had two horns, right? The Flavian, the patricians, and now you got the Republican and the Democrat, like a lamb, right? And then under this democratic or demonicrat system, they pretend to be of the power of the Most High, right? They say they're a God-believing Christian country, right? Because Satan has transformed himself into an angel of light, right? So making you think that they have morals and values, and that's the opposite has actually been happening. And the more and more time slips on into the future, that is exactly what's happening. You are starting to see that this place is it's a demonicrat, right? Just as they say, Democrat, which really means demonic, a demonic rule, right? And that's what's ruling. The demons are ruling over this place, starting with the spiritual demon Satan. Then of course you have the physical counterpart, which is a self-proclaimed so-called white man, which the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, right? And that's what he do. And then like a lamb speaking as a dragon, going into those draconian measures, right? And that's a good way of having draconian measures or even laws by not actually even having laws. So they don't have a rule of why the bank can shut down your thing or not. And it's a big argument, but then they're basically saying there's no resolution to it. So basically they're agreeing to it happening, that they could just shut down your bank, right? For whatever they say it's for. They say it's not against religion, it's not against that, not against this, but it's whatever they deem to shut down your account for, right? And it says, and he exercised, and saying this is all technically from the CV-19 Until now, this has all been an exercise, but you're about to go into the live. Well, it's been a live exercise, but you're about to go into the real thing, right? Right? No hiding. It's just going to be straight up draconian laws, right? And they're going to be hiding behind it pretty soon. And he's just going to exercise it. And he exercised all the power of the first beast, right? The Roman Greco Empire before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, right? And that's through these the way they have these stadiums, right? With the way they have the football and the basketball, the way they have these stadiums, and people follow behind the bread and circus, because it's basically it all over again. Also the Democrat and Republican going into the same thing, the plebeian, the patricians, pretending that they have these debates and arguments and what's best for the place, but they're all headed for the same goal, which is the Novus Ordo Seclorum, right? The NWO by the HWO, right? They're gonna give you a pandemic or whatever, and an economy collapse, right? And all sorts of things, right? To worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed, right? Which is the Roman Greco Empire, right? Which they had the same issue with a lot of their financial, but it wasn't a digital age at that time. So now you're living in a digital age, coming to be digital aristocrats on the scene, right? Yeah, so this is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, verse 5. For our time, talking about Esau Edom, this is like the mindset of Esau Edom, right? For our time is a very shadow, right? And this is the shadow of Egypt, right? And that's ultimately what a lot of you people have done. You trusted in the shadow of Egypt. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Yeah, so this is Isaiah chapter 30, verse 2. That walk, matter of fact, I might have to go up to 1. Right? 1, this is Isaiah chapter 1, 30, verse 1, Salakia. This is Judah warned against Egyptian allies, worthless treaty with Egypt, right? And that's this place right here, because you keep trying to get the self-proclaimed so-called white man's admiration and this and that and another, but he's never going to give it to you, right? Because it ain't meant for him to do that. He's the wicked. It says, woe to the rebellious, woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahweh Bashem Awashah Bashem Rakakodash, that take counsel but not of me, and that cover with a covering but not of my spirit, right? Not of the truth, right? You got Christianity, you got Islam, you got all these other different things, and like I said, you got the Democrat, the Republican. That's what you try to cover yourself with. I'll vote. You try to be the Anton Daniels who's going to be destroyed miserably, man, right? Because there's no one that's his actual true ally. These Edomites, when they catch him, they'll kill him, right? And Jake, see how you're backstabbing right in front of our face, slapping Jake in the face with trying to appease your oppressor, bro. It says, hey, may add sin to sin. And see, that's all you're doing. You're adding sin to sin, right? That walk and go down into Egypt, right? And this place spiritually is Egypt, right? So anytime you're doing anything in this society, thinking you're going along to get along, yet you're walking into Egypt, right? And have not asked at my mouth, and you didn't ask the most high Father about what you ought to do. You don't go to the prophets and see what's the get down. Strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, right? Trump, you trust in Trump, you trust in this so-called judicial system, the one that's nothing but failed you, right? Which they're about to show you, right? Even you Edomites, man. Yeah, at first they're gonna have you go against the Israelites, the so-called Hispanics, and grab the Hispanics, then grab the so-called Negroes, and then but guess what? You're next, right? In the shadow of Egypt, and that's this place right here, spiritually called Sodom, and spiritually Egypt, right? Sodom and Egypt, Slakia. Yeah, therefore Shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your what? Confusion. That's this place, Babylon the Great, the city of what? Of confusion. Yeah, so that's basically you people, trusting in the shadows of Egypt, which is America, which is also is they're going to speak like a dragon with these draconian laws and measures that even you so-called white people are about to experience, right? So says for our time is a very shadow that passeth away, right? And after our end there is no returning. And see, that's what they think, right? But there is a such thing as called reincarnation. Reincarnation or regeneration is biblical. So you will return. You Edomites will return, right? Because basically you average everyday Joe Schmo Edomite, you're going to go into, it's going to be a prelude. You're going to go into slavery first, right? It's going to be a prelude showing that the curses are going to come upon you, because even your own elite are going to put you into digital slavery, right? Which in the regeneration, when the missiles hit and your elite, the elite of Esau Edom are in the bunkers, them being the first fruits of slavery, and fruits is very befitting for them to be the first fruits, because fruits have what? Seeds, and they multiply and bringing forth what? More fruit, which is going to bring forth more slaves, right? Which you so-called white people are going to endure, right? Harsh and brutal chattel slavery. But first, the prelude to that is you're going to go into digital slavery under your own people, right? For it is fast sealed, right? See, their fate is sealed. They know that. So that no man cometh again, right? So there ain't going to be any more Edomites ruling ever again, right? But their thing is they're thinking that it's just they're going to die and that's it. No. What it is, your rulership is never coming again, right? It says, come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, right? This present ruling world, right? Esau's ruling it. This is his kingdom, right? Right? Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth, right? Because when you go back into the time of Noah, right, when the world was wicked and the Lord had to flood the earth, the wickedness basically reached unto heaven. So that's what they're saying all over again. Let's just do what we do, and let's let our sins reach into heaven, and we'll deal with the consequences later, right? And that's just if we even have it, because hey, they're thinking, hey, they're just gonna die and that's it. So let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointment, and let no flower of the spring pass us by. Which that's kind of where the Edomites get that phrase. Just smell the roses. Come on, let's just do it. Do it thy will, right? Aleister Crowley. Just smell the roses. Let's just have fun, party out, rock out, buddy, right? That's their mentality, right? Let our crowns, let us crown ourselves with rosebuds. See, told you, hey, with rosebuds before they withered, they be withered, right? See, let's just stop and smell the roses. Let's just have fun. Let's just do what we do, right? It says, let none of us go without his part, right? And that's the reason why they separate things into certain city states, and they let certain people rule, certain Edomites rule, which that's what they're talking about doing. I forgot the dude name that's supposed to rule over New York, and so they're trying to give everybody their little portion, little providence. Not everyone, but the ones who they feel that's part of their their enterprise, who's for them, who's going to basically be yes men and fulfill their will, their deal for the new world, of the new normal of digital enslavement, right? It says, let none of us go without his part, or vol up, vol up tallness. Let us leave tokens, signs, right? Which that's what they do, right? It tells you that, I believe that's Psalms that leave their inheritance to their babes, so to speak. Which that's a token, which is basically the insight of knowing that they're the Edomites, right? And how to continue to deceive the nations. That's part of that token that they leave to their babes of our joyfulness in every place. See, right? And it tells you, it's also tell you that in Psalms that they name places after their own name, that the kingdoms may go on forever, right? For is our portion and our lot is this, right? Yeah, and your lot is to rule the world and drive it to the ultimate wickedness, so the ultimate judgment can come, right? Yeah, so this is Psalms 17, verse 14. And it says, from men which are thy hand, right, which they're the left hand of the Lord, right? And it says, O Yahweh, from men of the world, right? That's Esau, Edom. Hey, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. They're ruling the world. It's their task to rule the world at this particular time. And it says, which have their portion in this life. See, and that's their rulership. This is their portion. This is their kingdom, right? And who belly thus fillets with the hidden treasures, right? So all around the world, they dig up and or they steal it, right? And they are full. Yeah, they are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes, right? And that's the inheritance. That's money. That's wealth. But also, like I was saying before, they leave, the secrets. Hey, these so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians are the Israelites. You need to keep it secret. You need to be able to do this. You need to push forth the agenda to the Novus Ordo Seclorum. You have to make sure this family stays in tight knit. The bloodline must be this much. If you veer off from this bloodline, make sure you bring it back together, so that way each person, because they know about reincarnation, right? And whatever witchcraft spells and things that they've been using against Jake, these are the things that they do on a constant on the basis, century after century after century, right? This is how they was able to deceive the world, right? And it says, going back here, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 10, it says, let us oppress, see, and that's how you keep control of the world. Not only do you oppress the whole world, but you definitely oppress the people who the world belongs to, right? Who the Lord made the world for our sake. You have to constantly oppress them and make them believe that they're nothing, right? You have to constantly try to convince them that their power is not looking for them, that maybe you're just Canaanites, and if you do believe in God, he set it up for you to be slaves. See, remember the curse, how Ham's son got cursed? Well, that's you. See, you came from Africa. Well, then when you go into the history, all of us didn't come from Africa. A lot of us came from Europe, because we ruled Europe for 1,000 years, right? Some of us came from all different other places around the world, and we were scattered before then. We were scattered through all the different captivities that we had went through before by disobeying the Heavenly Father. And then some people through migration, through other places. So you don't really know who all are Israelites, right? Through all these things. So the Israelites are as the sands of the sea, right? But now that we know who we are, this is the thing that they have to do. They have to oppress. Let us oppress the poor and righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, right? So they ain't looking to help you so-called black women, right? Only if you destroy your men. But even after that, guess what? They're at the time that they're about to fulfill their enterprise. They're about to micro C-hip everybody, and they're basically saying, hey, look, black women, we don't need you anymore, right? The first ones are being fired right now are so-called black women, right? You put this Edomite on a goddamn pedestal above your men, above your situations, right? And now look what you're about to entail, right? Because Jake ain't finna be dealing with a lot of you. You're gonna have to really pray to the Lord for mercy for the time that's about to come, right? It says, nor reverence the ancient gray hair of the age, right? So then that and that's basically go back to Deuteronomy 28. The same thing it said about them, right? That's that MO of Esau, man, right? He's always did that. He always went behind. And here's the point I'm actually making. It said, let our strength be the law of justice, right? And they're nothing about real justice, but justice for Edomites, right? Just like the little what was it, the brawl, the fight that happened, the Cincinnati, and they arrested the Jakes, but the Edomite who slapped him, who started the whole thing, he didn't get arrested, he didn't get fined, nothing's happened to him. So they're gonna show you how much they hate you, Jakes, man, right? By being, like I said, by being that draconial laws, the draconial measures, right? You using that, speaking as a dragon, right? It says, and that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth, right? So they don't consider you to be anything. Hey, man, you're just goyim. You're just useless eaters. They don't give a damn about you. Look what they're doing to Gaza. How much more? Hey, hey, and they hate you. You're the Israelites, and you know that you're Israelites. Or at least some of us do. Hey, hey, they're gonna have to come after you.
Yeah, so this is Deuteronomy 28:50. A nation of fierce consonants, which shall not regard the person of old, nor shew favor to the young. See, and that's basically what they did in the time that we came out of Egypt. They said they came behind and smote the the elderly, the sick, the young, right? The innocent, right? The vulnerable, right? And that's Esau's MO, and he don't give a damn, right? Because when they do this, that's who it's going to affect the most. It's the elder person, and the young people who need this so-called medicine, this Medicaid, whatever type of medicines that they got because they done messed up the food, and now people are diabetics and all this other type of things. But also, what it says, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle, right? And what do they say now? Oh, the cattle are giving off this certain C2 or whatever it is, and it's harming the environment, whatever, however they was trying to say it, right? Which according to their so-called understanding, the animal's been around way before you. You're the only one that's putting off carbon, too much carbon footprint. Wouldn't be the cattle, right? Because the cattle's, dung is beneficial to the earth. But see, that's what they don't want, right? It says, and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed. See, and that's what they're doing. They're making their a man-made famine right now, right? Telling you all this is recalled, and there's another recall, and one of your favorite this and this and that just got recalled. So all the food and things that get either recalled or burnt down. All the chicken factories and all the different beef factories and food places are now they're contaminated, or they're having a recall. Something's happening to the food, right? Till he destroy you. See, and this proved that you so-called white people are now starting to come under the curses, because this is a curse, which also shall not leave thee either corn nor wine. Yeah, see, because even when they start sending these troops out, they're gonna make sure that you only have a certain amount of food, a certain measurement of food that only lasts you only but for so long, so they can reload your universal basic income, and you can only have that amount of food. And if you ever do anything, they can shut off your card or whatever they do, because now you're under also a social credit score, right? So these are things that they're doing, because now things are becoming digital. Wine or oil, the incense or the increase of thy kind, right? They're gonna regulate whether how many babies you can have, like they do in China. So everything is coming around. Or flocks, right? And they do that now. They tell the farmers, you have to spray this pesticide that doesn't allow the seed, because sometimes the watermelons or whatever, they burst open, and then the seed to get into the ground, and then more watermelon will grow. They're telling them that they have a regimen of, this is how many watermelons or fruits or whatever they have, onions or strawberry, can grow in your field. It has to be this regimen. They're doing that now. And then in some cases they start telling them, hey, look, we'll pay you, just don't do any farming. Why that is? It's because they're going to tell you there's no food. But guess what? We have the solution. We can give you a laboratory made meat. Right? We can give you frankenfish, right? And thy and thy sheep, until he have what? Destroyed thee. And that's the thing, and it shows that you so-called white people are going under the curses too, right? Yeah, so this is going up. So Deuteronomy 28 and 17, right? Because this is what's happening as the elect is being sealed, right? This promise that the Lord have given to the Israelites is starting to come into fruition up now, right? And it says, and Yahweh, Basham Yahweh Shai, Basham Rakakwadash, shall curse thy enemies. See? And so you regular, everyday, six-pack Joe Edomite, you're about to feel the pain, right? You're going to have a lot more things to worry about than being racist against Jake, but you will never let that stop your joy of hate, the hate for Jake, right? I mean, forget all the problems that you have. You have World War III. You have nuclear talks. Forget that you have talks about the economy crashing. Forget that. Forget they're talking about sending troops over into Gaza, which is most likely going to turn into them having to send more troops, which is going to go into the draft. So you're going to be drafting more of your sons and your daughters over into a war that they cannot win, right? You got bigger things to worry about than the so-called Cincinnati brawl that's infuriating and rising up your racism. I mean, there's plenty more, right? The chariots, hey, the chariots everywhere. That's something you got to worry about, man, right? Because those are so-called black men. Those are Israelites, right? And they're coming back for the elect's sake. And those people you call, the N-word, or or wetback, or the ones you say speak English, in a place that used to be theirs, right? It's going to become the powers over the world and the universe, right? Via through the Most High Son, which is Yahweh Shai, through Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai, right? And that's when you're gonna ultimately know, But it's starting to come upon you now that rise up against thee, right? And that's what you've been doing. You've been rising up against us to smite, to be smitten, right? To kill us. And that's what ultimately Esau's been doing. And Jake's been being hung and found hung and all these other type of things. The northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, so which it proves that what Judah and Ephraim are oppressed together. See, you're proving our point before thy face, right? That's what you did, just blatantly right before our face, left them hung, right? They shall come out against thee one way, but flee before thee what 7 ways? You're gonna get destroyed, bro. Right? The Lord is about to raise up a standard. Right? You got food shortage to worry about. Right? But you want to hate Jake. Well, I guess I better keep going, right here, because this is going into the elect, because the Lord said what? My servant shall eat. So you're about to go into famine and all sorts of things. They're gonna push the charagma, even on you regular Joe Schmo Edomites. It tells you I'm about to get to it, right? Rich or poor, free or bond, it doesn't matter who you are. All must receive that mark in order to buy and sell. But you're too asphyxiated with hating Jake. You got bigger problems because you're all going under the curses already, right? It tells you in the scripture that this is a thing that's waxing away, and as it's waxing away, right? It's bringing in your slavery, and Jacob's or Israel, Yasha'Allah, reward, uprising, right? The kingdom of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? Starting with Yahushai and giving unto King David, and by default, we as Israelites get to receive the blessings of heaven, just like you've been doing. And by default, you've been getting this white supremacy, this what the dude say? He was talking about he don't know nothing about having was it white privilege, right? Yeah. You saying you don't know nothing about white privilege proves that you have white privilege. That's crazy. See, but we're gonna have Israelite privilege pretty soon, right? And Yahweh Bashem Yahushai shall command the blessings upon thee. See, they're gonna be a commandment to be upon us, bro. So you can't. No one can stop it. It was just happening now to the elect. And thy storehouses, and in all that thou sittest thy hand unto, right? And right now we're sitting our hand to the plow, right? That's why nothing could come against this truth. You can do nothing against the truth, but only for the truth. And he shall bless thee in the land which Yahweh Bashem Yahushai thy power has given thee. Saying wherever we're at, hey, that's gonna be our land, which the entire world. We're gonna be, but we're gonna eat. We're gonna laugh at famine while you're starving. Yeah. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 7. And Yahweh Bashem Yahushai thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemy, right? And that's you self-proclaimed so-called white people, and all you other nations technically. But the main one here in Babylon the Great is Esau Edom, right? All this pride that he has, right? But all the curses are going to come upon you, which is already happening now. That's a curse. You're going to go into slavery under your own people, under your own, in the time that this was supposed to be your rulership, you're about to get Karagma, right? Because you're already dead slaves, right? It's not like they're going to just put the Karagma on so-called black people and Hispanic people and Native American people. No, even on you. You're already debt slaves into the society, right? And on them that hate thee, ooh, you hate us. You hate us, you hate us, you hate us, don't you? Yeah, you hate us. You hate us because you ain't us, right? But yeah, but which persecute thee, right? And that's what you've been doing in this place, America, Babylon the Great. You hate us and you persecute us, man. At 4 hangings this year. But hey, Anton Daniels don't want to talk about that. They're so right. They're so right, The white man is so right. The white woman's so right. All right, bro. Well, there's a race war that's about to happen, and where are you going to lie at when the race war kick off? Because it's going to happen, right? And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahweh Bashem Shai. See, and that's where we're at. And do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. See, and that's what we're doing. The Lord said, go out and teach the sons of Israel. Warn them for me. And that's happening on a daily basis, bro. On a daily basis. Right? If I'm not doing a lesson, another brother's doing a lesson. It's going out on a daily basis, bro. Right? And then not to mention your walk in itself, whether you're doing a video or not, your walk in itself has to display that, hey, you're a child of Yahweh Bashem Shai. Yeah, so I'm gonna work this backwards, and yeah, basically you're gonna see that all of you who take that mark are gonna be digital slaves, right? And then some of you Edomite, you may not take it, right? But if you're Edomite, it doesn't matter. Hey, you're cooked, right? Because the end result thing of this is the world was made for the Israelites, right? And Yahushua, who you ignorantly call Jesus Christ, happens to be an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. So he came to die for his people, for their sins, and you're not a part of that. So that's just that, you know. And so
Strong's G 1125. Grapho.
yeah, it says grapho, to write, or with referring to the form of letters, right? To delineate or form letters on a tablet, right? Let's look up that word, delineate. It says delineate, describe, or portray something precisely. See, it's gonna break you down, gonna categorize you, right? It's gonna break all you down, break all your information down, right? Which they were just talking about that recently. The law should delineate, right? And that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna use the law to delineate and prohibit behavior. Ooh, wait a minute. That is socially. Ooh, oh, that is a good example, right? Which is socially abhorrent. According to who? According to Esau, right? Yeah, because that's what they're gonna do. You're gonna get your social credit scores and your this and that and your what's it called, your carbon footprint, and they're gonna set forth state of subscribe things in writing or speech, right? Which they're gonna use AI to do that, right? Set out
present.
Yeah, it's gonna be the present thing. The outline. Oh, there it is. That's what they're gonna do.
Identify.
It's gonna use this to identify you. Wow. Right? and that's what's about to happen. Parchment paper, or other minerals, right? And that's what it is, because whether you know it about the micro C hip is a mineral, right? Even though it's the size of a grain of rice, it's a mineral. So this thing's gonna to write with referring to contents of the writing. Yeah, right. Contents of the writing. Okay. Yeah, this is. Oh yeah. To commit writings, things not to be forgotten. Right. This is my favorite right here. Not to be forgotten. Written down records. So the records of your whole entire life is going to be on there. Right. right? Yeah, yeah. That's it right there. Yeah, it's gonna have a records of your entire life. You know, so that's really the point right there, because that's what it is. It's gonna have your records and your identification upon it.
Strong's G 5482. Kharaks. Kharaks.
Karaks, right? Shit, crux, a pail, a stake, a palisade, a rampart, a pale between the earth, right? Like you're taking something, you're making a stake, right? And you're driving it down, so you kind of make maybe you dig a little bit of the earth up, and you shave the um the wood down like a point, like a stake, and you drive it down. So maybe you make a sign or something, right? Or your mailbox. I remember I had to dig a mailbox down, so you dig and you drive it down into the ground to have your mailbox. Or if you try to make a fence, right? And you do that, which that's what Esau did to us in 70 AD. But this time, this is it's going to be a digital palisade that they're gonna put around us, right? It's gonna be a digital way to lock you in, right? A digital way of martial law, basically digital martial law, right? It's paled between earth, stone, and trees, with timber and heaped and packed together, right? Because that's how they made that fence. They put the trees together, dug them down, and they put really tall trees, dug them together, wrapped them together, uh, basically power drive them into the earth so that they wouldn't move, and put it around Israel. So when anyone tried to run out, they have a difficult time, because you have to run between the people. And if you try to run this way, you're going to run into that palisade. You're going to run into that wall, right? So now they're making a digital wall, a digital palisade, right? To sharpen to a point, right? Which that's the delivery system. That's the needle, right? Because everything's about needles these days, right? Right. That's the delivery system. They're going to use the needle to put your records, your identification into your skin, right?
Strong's G 5480. Kharagba. Kharagba.
Karakma, right? A stamp, an imprinted mark, right? It's going to go into you, right? And of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist, right? Right? And this thing is it's half right, so to speak, because there are many antichrists, which their whole system, the was it the AI system that they're gonna use to implement all their laws, statutes, and things in that nature to push forth a what do you call it, a state of constant surveillance, right? So you Edomites, while you're hating Jake, you're about to go under constant surveillance. You have bigger fish to fry, but hey, why not? Let's just hate, right? But hey, and then so like I said, this is kind of right. It's in your head, in your right hand, or your left hand, or your forehead, and it's kind of like a badge, because it's basically this signify that you believe in Esau, that he's your God, right? And there are many antichrists already, right? Which that's what some people doing. They had this company a while back ago. I think it happened in 2017. It's called Three Squares, and they have all their employees. At first, they said it was volunteer, but I'm pretty sure every employee has the microchip in order to get into work. They have to swipe their hand to get into the job. They have to swipe their hand to turn on their computer. They have to swipe their hand to make a cup of coffee. Through the whole company. It's called 3 squares, right? Look it up, right? And here's the thing that they're going to do to all of you, right? The mark, brand, see, and it's really a branding. Branded upon horses, right? Which symbolize what? What do the brand on the horse symbolize? Ownership. So this mark, this charagma, is going to symbolize Esau's ownership over you, right? You know? So, Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, and he calls of all, right? I'm a white man. I got privileges. Or, what are you talking about, white privilege? There's no such thing as white privilege. Yeah, you're gonna see there is no. You're right. There is no such thing as white privilege, because he called us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that's where your white privilege is going to go out the door. You are right. He required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, right? Because your thing is, yeah, you gotta put these niggers back to slavery. Yes, that's gonna put us back. That's gonna make America. This I heard it. It was an Edomite. Forgot the dude's name, but he's a mega. He said, yeah, mega means putting these people back into slavery. It means white supremacy. You're right. Mega does mean white supremacy. So what you ain't understand is you're going to be a slave too. That's what you're missing, right? To receive a mark on their right hand or in their forehead. See, and all of you're all gonna be slaves, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, right? The charagma, graphon, right? With all your information, with your identification, with your records, showing who you are, showing who you belong to, as a stamp or mark that they put on a horse for ownership, right? It says mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? So no one could buy or sell anything without the mark, charagma, grapho, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. Oh, so that's a good one. It's the number that represents his name, right? And that represents what? The Rothschilds, right? The international bankers, the Bilderbergs, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, right? Represents them. Represents their name, their so-called legacy, right? And yeah, well, wisdom is needed here. Let the one which with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, which that's on pretty much on all the barcodes, everything. So now you're you're just a product. You know what I mean? You know, you're just another, yeah. You're just another commodity, right? Because they pretty much say that anyway, right? You're cattle, right? To be marked like a horse, showing that you're just cattle. You're goyim to them. So, with all that, I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to Shushyachwathim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence and a baba ball. Hey, Kwam Yasharallah.